This video will be the first of several videos to show you how to make an Excel file that will automatically calculate your network parameters of early start, early finish, late finish, slack, and also you can see here if you put in a crashing table that it will calculate the crashing for you. So in fact, this is a 30 activity network that you see here with, first of all, down the left side is just like the numbering of the rows, where these are just names of names of them, which you could, these don't have to be in order, these numbers. Then your activity names, then an activity description, and in your predecessors. And those are user input. They're in the green. And then here we have the duration time in weeks or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be weeks. And then here are the calculated cells: early start, early finish, or the columns, late start, late finish, and slack times. And here you can see that the slack times that are 0 are highlighted in pink, which would be the critical path. And then we have our crashing table. Well, first of all, we bring over just the activity names, and then you give the normal time, the crash time, the normal cost, and the crash cost, and then the program then will calculate your crash cost heuristic dollars per week that we use to determine which activity to crash. So let me just show you, let it run. Like we want to crash, I just hit click to crash. Yeah, it wouldn't work right now. I'll do it again. It always seems like it always works about the second time. Let's try now. There we go. I don't know why that is. A little bug there. All right. So there you, and also notice as it crashes that the critical path is changing. So your ones with 0 change. Let's do that again. You watch the critical path change. See? Watch these pink ones change. So as you crash, the critical path changes. And then we have the feature here where we can do it a single step. So we crashed the first time, and it tells us we crashed E5 to go down to a duration of 74. Then I can hit any key. I'm hitting the enter key, and you can single step to crash, and you can see the duration is going down. And it gives you the activity that's crashed there. And it's crashing P10 every time. I wonder why I can do P10 so many times. Let's try it again. There it went to E4. Let's see, activity P10 could crash, really, it should only crash 2 times. No, it goes from 10 to 2. P10 can be crashed 8 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It crashed all 8 times there in a row. Gives you a better feel of what's happening at crashing too. That goodness great. Can you imagine all the work you'd be put in to do that manually on a 30 activity network? So this would be the main screen is called network, and so you can see that these are, the green is just user data input, and I'll get into a minute what the early finish, late start, late finish are, and slack time, and then our crashing table, and then of course this crashing feature, there it's stuck again. I don't know why it does that. Now if I run it again, it will run. All right, let's see there. Now see there again, now it took off and crashing. Now that crashing feature is in Visual Basic, and I go to Visual Basic here to see Developer, Visual Basic, and in Module 1 is the crashing routine. And then down here you can see the single step crashing routine. And then this file also has a nice feature. If I go to the network diagram, now if I can erase the diagram by hitting Control X, and then I can draw it by hit Control D to draw. Now let's see. It takes a little while to draw. Let's see if it works. Doesn't look right. We'll see. Let's let it finish. Sometimes you can't tell what's going on in the background. There we go. How's that for a network diagram? You like that better than the one that Microsoft Project gives you? The only thing is I haven't figured out how to work the bugs, how to keep the errors from going over. Uh, like, see how this green arrow is going from that one to that one, but that's a little consequence compared to the how good of a display you get. And we might work on trying to get rid of that little. And then another feature of this guy, we have a Gantt chart, and we automatically draw a Gantt chart. And we simply list each of the activities down this side, and then it copies them over to depending on what the early starts are and the finish, see? So, and all that done is done by these cell formulas right here. And then we use conditional formatting. Let's see if conditional formatting is right here to highlight the cells, depending on what they have in them. So a little bit of features. But anyway, let's, I think that pretty much displays, tells you about the network sheet for right now. So let's go on to the arrow sheet. Now, when you draw your network diagram, you know you use the predecessors to figure out where to put your boxes. Like we know that E1 has a predecessor of start, E2 has a predecessor of start, M1 has a predecessor of start. So if we look in the table, so I kind of set this up if you've had operations management, you're familiar with a transportation problem where we'll put from activities or from locations and you go to locations. So think of this as a arrow in the diagram. This one goes from start, that green one goes from start to E1. So start to E1. Here's the to activity. Okay. Now, so we put a 1 there. But actually, I think I told you in class one time that we do put a 1, but this they're doing a little bit better. Rather than putting a 1, I'm actually numbering them. 1, 2 through the number. There's 40 different arrows in this network. If we would count all these arrows, there'd be 40 of them. And so I've numbered them. And you can see throughout here, a number occurs where there's an arc like that. That 13 would be from M1 to M2. And this 8 would be from E4 to E5. So that's what we want to do in this arrow table. So we had a little bit of a, so here I just numbered across the top. Okay, we just got numbers, and we just got, I think, numbers down this side. So that's no big deal. That's easy for you to do, to put those in. And then two activities. You can see I just typed that in, two activity. Predecessors is just a label, predecessors with greater than signs for error, create an error showing to you. And from activity. And then I go back to the network and get the from activity, and let's say concatenate. First I put a comma, then I put in network B4, which is B4, which would be the name number, and then another comma. Now the comma helps in identifying the uh, activity numbers, in that if you don't, it can be ambiguous. Like you might find a 1 in 10 also. But if we look for the commas, then we get rid of finding a 1 in 10 or 110 and stuff like that. Or a 2 could be in 20 also. So we're going to search for the numbers. So in start, now all this is, you can see that's all the code that it takes to put these numbers in right here. So the heart of this is the find command. So find B5, it says, and B5 is this comma 1 from activity 1, and we want to go to activity 3, right? So let's see, here I've listed the predecessors right here, and so if we find the predecessor of E2 is this, and this row is simply the predecessors from the network. So I guess I should have explained that to you. You want to create these rows, and there's the formulas to do that. The two activities, and again we want to put in the commas, and then the predecessors. The predecessors is what we're looking for. So here we got the predecessors for E3 are 2 and 3. Let's look at that. E3 is right here, is 2 and 3. But I added the commas, see, and I'm going to look for, like for 2. Here's 2. Is there a comma 2 comma? And there is, comma 2 comma. That's where you get this 4. Is there a, let's see, is there a comma 3 comma? Yeah, there's the comma 3 comma, and that would make the 5. Now actually these are numbered all the way to the end of the row, and I allowed spaces for 100 activities in the spreadsheet, and that's why this goes over to 100. So let's see, there's the cells of the two activities, and that's just simple numbering. So hopefully you can see that and stop the video and put these in, and then you can just copy that across. I usually leave out that single. When I saved it, I think it got back in. And then here's the code for this yellow row, with just the predecessors, and I go back. It's based on, I put the comma activity comma in, and then I get rid of E2 is not equal to nothing. I say that, so that's the way I can copy that on over when E2 is when the one above it is equal to nothing, right here, see I got code in here, when AH2 is not equal to nothing, it puts this in, but otherwise it puts a double quotation or a blank. So that's how I get rid of it. That's why these don't show on over all the way up to 100, see. So I think you got enough. You can see that code. Here's this code. And here's the code. This was just the activities. These are the to activities. These are the from activities. So we're going from here to here, and where we got one, we put a number in. Now let's see how to do these numbers. And I think now if you think about it, and look at this, a little trick. We'll never have a arrow in this column because we'll never go to start, right? We'll never have an arrow going to start. So we can use that column to give the maximum that's in, like the maximum in this, in the row previous, okay? Because I want to number these, okay? So that allows me to get the maximum in this row is 3, and that's right here. So you see, you got max D5 to CY5. D5. So 5 is the row above it, see? And there's highlighted that range above it. You see that all goes all the way over to 100. Now, if you wanted to make this spreadsheet good for 1,000, you'd have to expand that on over. But anyway, there is the max of the line above it. Okay, and of course the max in this one is 0, and I just put a 0. Okay, start out with a 0 here. But now this one, now look at this code here. Is that we do the find command, okay? And if we find B5, which is this comma 1 comma, in F3, right here, we put a number. All right, so here's this comma 1 comma, and it finds it, and starting at 1, that's part of the find command. And if we have an arrow, we put nothing. Okay, and then if this is not equal to nothing, then we put in the max, and we put in the max from D5 to E5. D5, starting at this right here, the max of this, and that's going to be the max of the previous row, and then the max from here to E5. So all the way, we do the max all the way up to the one previous, and then add 1 to it, if we find that predecessor in there. Okay. Otherwise, we leave it blank. So that's a blank right here, that double quotation. And then again, these others, of course, if we go on past the end of the row, we just, if B5 is equal to nothing, we put in a nothing. B5. So if we go down below the where we've listed, like down here to 30, with the column row 31, it'll get put in a nothing. So that makes all these cells blank. So that's how that works, and I think you can see the formula now. Once you get this formula, you can copy it all the way into the whole table. So you pick a cell, like pick this cell F5 I'm showing, there's your formula, type that in and copy it all the way through and you'll have it. So let me go through the formulas one more time. I'll do the G2, Here's G3. Here's G4. And here's G5. And then you can just copy those down. Okay. And I think I've shown everything to you now. Now let's see. So that's the arrows. So we've done network and the arrows. I need to show you the network some more after we do early start and latest finish tables here. So that ends this video, and hope you don't have any trouble entering that much of it. You should be able to get these arrows to display correctly.